Okay, everyone, UFC 202 has passed. It is now time for the post-fight breakdown analysis of Conor McGregor versus Nathan Diaz, Part 2, the rematch. An amazing, amazing fight. All of you sent me your predictions. Thank you for participating in the Mystic Reebok Challenge. Now, I got a lot of great predictions from you guys. A lot of you thought the fight was going to play the same way it did the first time. A lot of you thought Conor McGregor would win by KO. But very, very, very few people predicted that Conor McGregor would win by decision. Okay, very few of you, and I love the fact that we did this Mystic Reebok challenge because, for those of you who don't know, we did a challenge where you guys send in your predictions and win a Reebok fight kit. Every time after a major fight, every time when I do my post-fight analysis, people write me telling me, obviously the fight went that way. Obviously, I saw it coming a mile away. Who didn't know so and so was gonna win in this particular fashion? But now that we asked you guys to send in your predictions, now that Reebok and my channel here, I've been asking you guys to send in your predictions before the fight. It's very, very clear to see that this was a very difficult fight to call. Why? Because very, very few people predicted that Conor McGregor. I got a ton of predictions saying Nate would finish him. I got a ton of predictions saying that Conor would finish Nate. I got a fair amount of predictions. People said Nate would win by decision, but I got a very small amount of predictions of people saying that Conor would win a decision. Now, even Conor himself didn't predict he would win a decision. Even Conor predicted that he would KO Nate, and I believe even Conor's coach also believed that he would KO Nate, and all of Conor's teammates believed he would KO Nate, etc. Not many people picked that Conor McGregor would win by decision, and he did. He won by decision. Now, a lot of you also are not happy with the decision. We're going to talk about that in this episode. I got a lot of comments and questions coming your way about that very topic, and we're going to talk about it thoroughly. But before I do that, I want to first award the people who did predict that Conor McGregor would win by decision. The first Mystic Reebok Challenge winner is Mr. LaPlante. He is on Twitter. Mr. LaPlante, Mystic Mr. LaPlante from now on, Mystic Mr. LaPlante, predicted that Conor McGregor would win by unanimous decision, taking rounds 1, 2, and 5. Now, we all know Conor didn't take round number 5 on the judges' scorecard, but he did take round number 4. So, Mystic Mr. LaPlante, you are a Reebok Mystic Challenge winner. Congratulations. I will be sending you a message very soon for you to collect your prize. I may need some information from you. The next Mystic Reebok Challenge winner is Schizonic SRK, Mystic Schizonic SRK from now on. You will be known as Mystic Schizonic SRK. He's a YouTube winner, okay? He participated on YouTube, and he predicted that Conor McGregor would win by decision 48-47. 48-47 was his prediction. Conor takes rounds 1, 3, and 4. Now, we all know Nate took round number 3. If you would have wrote 1, 2, and 4, you would have been right on the money, but this is still extremely close. The closest prediction I've gotten so far. Thank you for sending in your mystic challenge. All right. The next winner is from. Let me pull this up here. Is from Reddit. It was a Reddit winner, Mister. Let me see, who is it. Let me pull this up right here. Okay, Mr. Spreadable Duck Butter, Mystic Spreadable Duck Butter from now on, predicted McGregor by split decisions 48-47, 48-47, and 46-49. That was another very, very close prediction. And even though he didn't win by split decision, he won by majority decision. If I remember correctly, I think it was a majority decision. That was the third most, the closest prediction. Okay. Spreadable Duck Butter, you're going to get a message from me very soon. I'm going to PM you. You're a Redditor. Congratulations on predicting the fight fairly accurately. You are one of the few people who predicted that Conor would win by decision. Congratulations. What a great fight. Let's start with the questions now. Or actually, before we do that, I want to first thank our sponsors, Reebok, of course, Quest Nutrition, and, of course, now TimTam.tech. They make the world's greatest massager. If you're an athlete, if you lift weights, if you wrestle, if you do kickboxing, if you run track, whatever, get this machine. It's the most powerful massager. If you have a tight muscle in your leg, tight muscle in your arm, this machine will eradicate it. Thank you, Tim Tam, for sponsoring our channel, and you make a fantastic product. Now, first question. And the reason why I put it first is because it's the most common question I got. This one's from Edo P. Edo P asks, I think Diaz won that fight. Please explain how, why judges gave it to Conor. Now, I think this is the most important question, and I received this question many times, and and the fight happened yesterday. A lot of people were not happy with the decision. Now, I'm going to tell you guys right off the bat that the judges got it right. And I'm going to explain to you thoroughly why. And after I explain it to you, I don't think anybody out there can argue anymore. The judges got this fight right. And a lot of times they get it wrong. Judges get it wrong all the time. And maybe the actual score was not the way it should have been scored. But the winner of this fight was Conor McGregor. And I will explain to you why. Feel free to disagree in the comments. But I'll tell you, you are wrong. Conor McGregor won this fight. Now, I have no personal interest in the fight. To me, I don't train either fighter. Whoever wins, wins. Doesn't bother me. I'm interested in the martial arts aspect. I'm interested in how they played the game. I just want to learn from this fight. And I'll tell you, if you asked me to put in my vote to who won, it was Conor. And here's why. Round number one. Nobody in their right mind can argue that Diaz won that round. I don't think if you ask Diaz himself or Nick Diaz or Diaz's corner who won round number one, everybody will unanimously say it was Conor McGregor. So round number one, Conor McGregor. Now round number two, we're going to skip round number two. Let's just skip round number two for now. We're going to get, because that's the most important round in the entire fight. Round number three, who wins that round? Nobody in their right mind would say it's Conor. Nobody. Round number three goes to Diaz. 1-1. Okay, we skip round number two. We're going to get back to round number two. That's the most controversial round, and we're going to dissect it. Round number four, Conor McGregor. No questions asked. No questions asked. He won round number four. Watch those strikes. He landed the better strikes. Close round, competitive round. Conor won it. Round number five, very tight round. Very tight round. I gave it to Diaz. He did a little bit more. Very controversial round. 2-2. One last round to discuss. Round number two. Now, I watched the fight. I watched the fight live. Then maybe 10, 20 minutes later, I rewatched it again. Okay, I rewatched a lot of the key moments. I rewatched a lot of the key rounds. And round number two, I think, is where the confusion happened. Round number two, McGregor was winning beautifully. In the beginning. Early round number two, McGregor's winning. It's a picnic. The fight is a picnic. And then all of a sudden, it looked like their first matchup, he starts to drain in energy and Nate just starts to pour it on, and gets really busy near the end of the round. And Nate was dominant in the end of the round. However, unlike their first matchup, Conor scored 2 knockdowns in round number two. Now remember, in their first fight in round number two, he didn't score any knockdowns. He hurt Nate really bad, but he didn't score any knockdowns. In round number two of their rematch fight, Conor McGregor knocked Nate down twice. Now, if he knocked him down once, I would have given him the round. He knocked Nate down twice. Now, I know it's not boxing and you don't give a point for a knockdown, but Nate Diaz took a shot on the chin, dropped to his butt. He dropped down. Now, when you drop down in a fight from a punch, if he would have slipped, I would have been fine. It's a slip, counts for nothing. He went down because of the punch. If you sit down because of a punch, you are telling me and the rest of the world and the judges that if I take any more damage, I will be done. So I better sit down to avoid getting hit again. I cannot stand with this opponent. I cannot stand with this man right now. I need to recover. Now, Nate did hit McGregor lots of times near the end of the round. But Conor never went down. Conor never sat down. If Conor had sat down and he would have yielded, it would have been saying, look, I cannot stand with this man anymore. I need to take a break. I would have given the round to Nate. But he did not. He took Nate's shots, which tells me that Conor did more damage. And that is the only criteria I need. All the following criteria after damage are simply backup plans. If the damage was even, okay, who had more control? Now, why is control so important? Because control, if I have control of you, I can't have potential to do damage. Damage is still number one. Who did more damage in round number two? In my opinion, that's how a fight should be scored. It's damage. Conor did more damage. Hence, he won round number two. Conor won round number one, number two, and number four. He lost 3 and 5. 3 he lost without question. 5 was very, very competitive. And I would like to hear those of you who think Conor won round number 5. Let me know how he won it. Why did you think he won it? Did you think he did more damage? I don't care I don't care about any other criteria other than damage. Once damage is even, then let's talk about all the other criteria. Now, a lot of you are going to tell me, hey, coach, Nate landed more significant strikes statistically. I had somebody send me that. Look, coach, Nate landed more significant strikes. That is a poor argument. That is a poor argument. That is a gimmick they give to the fans just so the fans can have something interesting to talk about. If you're watching a fight, okay, take this for instance, okay? If I'm fighting somebody and that person lands 20 significant strikes and I only land 2 significant strikes, who won the round? Well, I'd have to watch the fight. Maybe those 20 significant strikes were damaging, but those 2 I gave him, one broke his rib, one broke his jaw. And from his 20 shots, I have nothing, not even a broken nose, not even a bruise. But he stung me, he jarred me a little bit here and there. Who won that round? You'd have to watch, you'd have to estimate the damage. It's not an exact science. You have to be somebody who's watched thousands and thousands of fights, somebody who understands martial arts, and say, look, those techniques were more damaging. I think if this fight was ongoing and there was no time limit, this person would have won. That's what you're trying to decipher. Now, who did more damage in round number 2? Conor. No question about it. He knocked the man down twice. I give it to Conor McGregor. Significant strikes, maybe Nate landed more significant strikes. But if you look at the damage done, even though Conor threw less significant strikes, connected with less significant strikes, in total, he did more damage in the fight. And that's not even how a fight is scored. You're supposed to score every round individually. Realistically, you're supposed to look at it as they fought 5 times. Nate and McGregor fought 5 times yesterday on Saturday. They fought 5 times at 202. 3 of those fights went McGregor's way. That's how you should really look at it. The rounds are not scored. The 5 rounds are not lumped up as one round, as they should be, I believe. I like the Pride rules where all the rounds are just one round. Just look at the fight, who won the fight. Now, because we agreed on 5 rounds and each round's a 10-point must, and that's how they fought. If you would change the rules, if you were to tell both fighters, hey, we're not counting it that way anymore. The fight is going to be predicted. The outcome of the fight is going to be all as if it was one round. Just fight any which way you want. It's all as if we're looking at 25 minutes, one 25-minute round. Yes, we're going to chop it up. We're going to do commercial breaks. We're going to do sponsors. There's going to be 1-minute breaks and all that stuff. But we're going to just calculate it as one big fight, one big round. Then they would fight differently. The athletes also would adjust their game plans. We saw McGregor in round number 4 kind of coast and come back strong. He might have done something differently if it was all counted as one round. Okay, so we can't play that card either. People are going to be telling me, coach, if you count it all as one round, if it was a real fight, like a street fight, so to say, you would have to say that Nate Diaz was the healthier and the fresher at the end. Even if that was true, which maybe it's not. We'd have to dissect it a little further. And I think we are in the comments and questions. That's not how the rules that were agreed upon. The rules that were agreed upon were 5 rounds. Each round counts for 10 points. If you win the round, you get 10 points. Conor won 3 out of the 5. It was a close fight. I'm not trying to say that it was a blowout. No, it was a close fight. I understand why a lot of people think Diaz won. I understand that. However, watch the fight again and watch it as a judge. Somebody who's given out 5 rounds. Who do you give out 3 rounds to? That's the winner. You got to give it to McGregor. He knocked down Nate twice. Not once, twice in the second round. Lots to talk about. You guys sent me a ton of questions and stuff, so I'm going to get to it right now. Thank you, Ito. That was a great comment. And the most popular comment was, why was it scored that way? So, next question or comment is from Luther Schultz. Hi, Faraz. Love your channel and videos. Do you think Conor could have survived a 6th round? What would that round look like? So you're saying if there was a 6th round, what would Conor look like? Could he have survived it? Maybe. I don't know. He was looking like he was at the end of his rope. But the thing is, Conor went in there knowing there's only 25 minutes. So he gave everything he had in that 25 minutes. If you lock me in a room and you tell me this is a fight to the death and we're not opening this door until one of you is out, I'm going to fight very differently than if you tell me there's 25 minutes on the clock. Do your best. Nate poured it on too late. The time was running out. He should have fought accordingly. McGregor was more clock smart. He was smart. He was aware of the clock. He used the clock, and that's how you should fight. because it's part of the game. You guys agreed to those rules. He managed the clock better than Nate. Nate, time was running out, and he made his moves too late. Yes, he won round number 5. Yes, he got that takedown. Yes, he started to pour it on. Too little, too late. McGregor had already put his chips on the table. He already dealt the cards. He already made his strategy. He already executed. Nate was playing catch up. If there was round number 6 and you had told fighters it was a 6th round, I think they would have fought differently and it would have been a totally different fight. That's my opinion. So it's not a fair question. It's not a fair question to McGregor. You can't just say that because he was drained at round 5 that Nate just ran out of time. If it was a fight to the death, if you told me, hey, we're locking those two men in a room, I would pick Nate to win. I think Nate has that style. He has that special style that he's a slow starter, etc. But it wasn't that. It was a 25-minute round, a 25-minute fight, and Conor won the majority of those 25 minutes. Next here is from Alexa MUA. Alexa Moi. Hi Faraz, I'm very disappointed in the outcome of the fight. However, I give Conor credit for playing to his strengths and getting through that war. It was definitely an amazing fight. Here are my questions. Now, you wrote me a really, really long question. Question number 1. I'm going to skip to question number 2. Do you think Conor ran during the fight? We saw him literally run in the octagon, and that was not the evasive movement most expect in a pro fight. Footwork to get away. It was, so you're saying, okay, he wasn't using footwork to get away. He literally ran. What's your take on this? He wasn't running away from the engagements. He was very offensive. Nobody could say there wasn't any action in that fight. If he was running away to literally avoid fighting, I would have critiqued him, but he didn't. He just ran to get a better position in octagon, and then he got right back into the action. I have no problem with that. I think running in the octagon is something that could be strategically sound in rare instances, and it was, and he did it smart. He just ran to get a better position in the octagon. Once he got his better position, he got straight to work. Nobody can critique McGregor for stalling. He didn't stall. He fought. If he did stall, it would have been a boring fight. It was an epic fight. It was one of the best fights in UFC history. One of the best main events in UFC history. It was a classic, instant classic, great fight. There was no stalling. So he didn't do it in the spirit of stalling. He did it in the spirit of repositioning. I'm all for it. I think he did a great job. Next one here. Renegade Burger. Faraz, how heavily do you think that knockdown should be weighed? That knockdowns should be weighed. The fight was razor close, but the 3 knockdowns secured the fight for McGregor, aside from the second round debacle. Also, does this performance give you hope against the rest of the welterweight division? Yes, those knockdowns secured round 2. If he didn't get those knockdowns in round 2, it would have been very debatable who won the fight, and probably Nate Diaz would have won that second round and won the fight. Those 2 knockdowns were crucial in round number 2. I agree with you. I'm glad you put up this comment because that's exactly how I see it as well. What do I think about the welterweight division for Conor? I don't think it's a great place for him. He's too small. He's a talented guy, skilled guy, but he's way too small. Why fight at welterweight with guys can hurt you? Imagine Conor fighting Tim Means, or imagine Conor fighting a big, strong, there's so many big, strong welterweights. They have too much power. It's just too much of a risk. Why risk your health? Fight in division with guys your size. I think he's a 55er. I think he could make 145 on occasion, maybe some more. I don't know if he will go back down to 145 on a regular basis, but I think he should fight guys more his size. Welterweights are just much bigger. Gboy251. Why did Conor start to fade in the second round, even though the fight pace was quite slow? He had trained cardio like a maniac. People are asking, a lot of people are asking me that. And I picked yours because I think you worded it a little bit better than most. Why did he seem to slow? Well, I think there's a misconception that Conor was not in great fight shape their first time around. I think he was in great fight shape their first time around. I think he was in better fight shape this time around. But the man's he's a professional athlete. He fights for a living. He's not eating chips and drinking beer all week. Okay, the guy's a great athlete. The problem why he got tired has a lot to do with his style, his genetic makeup. And you look at, I don't know anything about baseball, but I know Babe Ruth. I know he hits a lot of home runs, but he also gets a lot of strikeouts. People tell me that, he had a lot of home runs, but he also had the most strikeouts. There's pros and cons to everybody's genetic makeup, and there are pros and cons to everybody's style. Conor McGregor has a style that's very explosive. Now, when you explode a lot, it costs a lot of energy to explode. He didn't explode as often as he normally does. Normally he throws spinning kicks. Normally he does lots of crazy explosive movements, throwing long, wild punches. Not wild in the sense, but a lot of body movement, a lot of body weight. He swings hard like he wants to hit a home run. And this time around, he was more mechanically efficient. It paid dividends for him, obviously, in the later rounds. He was more mechanically efficient, and still he got tired. That's your question. Well, I think it has a lot to do with how he prepares for fights. He fights a certain way, and I think it's very psychological. In a fight, you cannot expect that when you're in a fight, a 5-round fight, you have to learn to recover in the fight. Don't think you're just going to recover on the stool and then go back and fight 5 rounds. Recovering inside the round is a skill. That is also a skill that fighters need to learn and cultivate. Now, George has done many 5-round fights, and that was always a strategy. You have to recover within the round. Don't recover on the stool only. That's part of the game. But also within the round, you have to recover. I think early on, he made some mistakes because he extended himself too far, and that's why he had a poor round 3. Not because Nate is more skilled, but because Nate was more economical in round number 1 and 2. But when you're very economical, you fell behind on the cards. And that's how you play the game. Do you spend more energy and win the round, or do you lay back and wait for the later rounds? It's a game, it's a game. And now, if Nate would have got stopped at round 1 or 2, we would all been saying McGregor did the perfect fight strategy. Or if Nate would have won in the later rounds, we've all been like, look, he was wise. He played possum, and he won the later rounds. Hindsight is always 20/20. In the moment, you don't know how much energy should you spend. You don't know. It's a gamble. You're playing a game. So I think they both played well. I think Conor overextended himself a little bit too much in round number 2, even though he was leading in round number 2, in my opinion. And Nate, even though Nate finished strong, didn't catch up, didn't steal the round from Conor. It was very close, but those 2 knockdowns are just too much to score. He laid back in round number 3 and came back to win round number 4. That was really smart about Conor. I just think he went too far. Because if you think about it, you really only need to win a round 10-9. Why win the round? If you won the fight 10-9, okay? Now you do a little bit more to win 10. You're still 10-9. So if you won this way, if you won round number 2 this way, or you win round number 2 this way, it's still the same amount of points, except now you spend a lot more energy. Why not just win round number 2 this way? Well, because some judge might give it to the other guy. It was too close to call. So you're playing a game. Do I give more and make it undeniable that I won that round? But you got to spend more energy. Everything comes at a cost. That's just the way he manages energy. He's in great shape. He needs to learn to manage his energy. He's improved on how to manage his energy. He played the game a lot smarter in the rematch. A lot smarter. So that's how I see it. I think it's just a game and it's a gamble, and there's no right decision. You got to feel it. You got to feel it during the fight. Francisco Villanueva. Nate didn't look quite like the fighter he has been in the past 2 fights. He wasn't landing his 1-2. When he was moving forward and walking Conor down was when he was at his best. Did the extra media attention affect his fight or mentality? I don't know. I think what really hurt Nate in this fight was that he got hit with too many left hands. Now, in the first fight, he got hit with many left hands. And there was maybe even harder shots, but Conor's left hands in the second fight were more precise. Even though he hit less hard, he was more precise and more effective. And I think that's what rung Nate's bell. He just fell behind because of the left hands. Nate has to learn to deal with those left hands. If they're going to fight again, he better come to the table this time around with a really good answer to Conor's left hand. Conor's left hand just crushed Nate too early in the fight. Nate had to play catch up. It was just too far, too little, too late. It was a great fight, but the left hand won the 2 first rounds without question. And Nate just didn't have an answer for those 2 left hands. He just didn't. He was defensively weaker. He was defensively weaker this fight than he was in the last fight. That's how I saw it. I think he was just in good shape. I think the 1-2 he had in his pocket, just Conor adapted to the 1-2. Conor adapted better in the rematch. Conor made more adjustments. Conor made better decisions in the rematch than Nate did. Nate came in the same way. He had no answer for the left hand in the first round. He had no answer for the left hand in the second round. Conor adjusted to the 1-2. Nate tried to throw 1-2. Conor overhanded him, like he did in the first fight. But this time around, he also was sidestepping. He was getting away from that 1-2. He had a good answer to the 1-2. The other major mistake, Diaz made, in my opinion, is he didn't go to his fading left hook. Okay, right hook. He's a southpaw. He didn't go to that fading right hook, which was key in their first fight. He didn't use it in their second fight. In my opinion, it was a mistake. Conan Lee, what is your explanation for what people are calling McGregor's second wind? He learned to recover in the fight. He coasted in round 3. He lost round 3 to win round 4. That's how you play your hand. He was smart about it. Now, you don't have to lose round 3. He could have done it in a way, a few more five-round fights, and he'll keep improving, his 5-round management. His 5-round management was superior, and that's why he had a second wind. He was in better shape physically for sure because he's done a lot more physical training. So you have better physical conditioning and also better ring intelligence, better octagon intelligence. And you know what I loved? I love how his coach, John Kavanagh, calmed him down after he got tired in round number 3. He was really tired. It was starting to redline. And John Kavanagh just told him, look, this is why you put in those extra rounds. This is why you work so hard. This is nothing new. And you guys remember my pre-fight analysis breakdown. I said the reason why Conor lost the fight the first time around was he was surprised. He thought the finish line was here, and then, hey, no, the finish line is way up here. It's way further than you thought. And he was surprised and he was miscalculated. This time around, his coach just centered him and said, look, we know the finish line isn't here. He even mentioned it. You're going to do 5 rounds. The finish line is over there. No surprise. He knew the landscape going in. There was no surprise this time around. He was expecting a war. Now, if you guys remember, George St. Pierre said McGregor will win if he's preparing for the worst day of his life. I also said that he had a path to victory. But the problem with Conor is he thinks Diaz is here when Diaz is really here, and he's getting surprised. If he thinks Diaz is really up here, he can hit that mark. I believe there's a path to victory for Conor McGregor. I did pick Nate Diaz. It was a close fight. Now, this fight didn't have a skill differential. These guys are very even in skill. The winner of this fight was going to be the guy who plays the game. And people don't understand that. Like, for instance, if you take a black belt and put him on the mat with a blue belt, you can give the blue belt the world's greatest strategy. It doesn't matter. There's a skill level. There's a difference in skill level. That black belt's going to beat him on his worst day. The definition of black belt is that you're better than a blue belt. He'll beat that blue belt easily. Doesn't matter the strategy. But if you put 2 black belts on the mat, now strategy becomes a very key component. A very key component. Whoever has the better strategy will win. And that's what it was. These 2 fighters are very even in skill. In very different ways, okay? Conor's faster, more precise, etc. But then Diaz has his attributes as well. He brings a lot of good things to the table. Pound for pound, I'd have to say Conor's a better fighter because he was the smaller of the 2. And he was more efficient. But if you take the pound for pound argument, if you just put those 2 guys, Diaz is the bigger man, it's quite an even fight. It's a very close fight. This is a very dangerous fight. It came down to how they played the game, how they adjusted to each other. Conor adjusted better, therefore won the fight. That's how I explain his second win. He made some adjustments. He played the game different. He coasted a little bit. He was expecting the fight to be super hard. He was ready for the worst day of his life. He wasn't thinking that Nate was an easy fight. He said it after the fight. Nate brought out the best in me. And that's the truth. They both brought out the best of each other. It was an epic fight. Very, very close fight. Because I'm saying Conor wins, I'm not saying that it wasn't a close fight. It was a very close fight. But one guy played it smarter than the other. And the second win was just him coasting, recouping. He knew the finish line was up here, so he coasted. He recovered, and he came back to finish strong. Good job on him. Nicely done. This one is from Tenjay. Were you shocked that Conor fought totally different from than his... Are you... Sorry, your grammar is a little bit off here. You're asking me if I was shocked because Conor fought in a very different style. Yes, normally Conor throws a lot of spinning kicks. He throws a lot of explosive movements. I think he put that on the wayside because it's a 5-round fight. You guys watched the first fight. He threw so many explosive attacks, all of a sudden he's gassed out. Yes, he didn't throw his spinning kicks. Yes, he didn't throw a lot of the stuff that he normally throws. He wasn't throwing those big swinging shots. It's a 5-round fight. It's a totally different fight than a 3-round fight. I think that was a wise decision. Okay, this one is from Navy Microbe Gaming. What do you think about Conor McGregor's cardio? He seemed to gas in the same spot as the first fight, but now seemed to know he can recover given enough time. Do you think he still has a lot to work on his cardio? It did look like the first fight. In the second round, it seemed like his energy dipped. But he didn't make the same mistake again. He stayed calm. Whereas in the first fight, he seemed to panic. It was mental. It was very mental. Physiological on one end, of course, but if he did panic, it doesn't matter how much cardio he had done. So I'm sure his cardio improved. He's done a lot of physical training. I totally agree with that. But it's also mental, because when you panic, you drown, you know? If you panic mentally, if you start to go in fight or flight mode, if you start feeling fear, if you let your imagination run wild, it'll choke you up, okay? You ever see somebody have a panic attack, be really scared, they start to hyperventilate and breathe really funny? If that happens to you in a fight, you're dead. You're dead, okay? Your strength is going to drop. No air, no strength. He stayed calm. He was breathing. He used his martial arts. He used his technique to keep him alive and get his air back. It's that simple, guys. He used his technique, skill. That's what martial arts is about. You need to learn how to use your skill to give you the time to recover. Well done. MM75. Coach Z, did not see your page collecting comments and fan predictions until now. I was thinking that this fight would end in a draw, actually. You can't post your pre-fight predictions after the fight, MM75, but thank you anyway. Anyways, do you think there was anything more than Nate Diaz could have done to win this fight? Thanks. Yes. Deal with Conor's left hand. He just got hit too much with too many left hands. His brains were getting scrambled. That left hand, there are solutions to that left hand. In their first fight, he started adapting to the left hand by sliding back and throwing his right hook. Okay, so the right hook, he's a southpaw fighting another southpaw. He was countering that left hand with sliding back, throwing his right hook. We call it a check hook. He didn't do it in this fight. Why? You have to ask him and his trainers. He needs to do that punch more. He could have won the fight with that punch. Now, the other thing is, deal with the leg kicks. It's always been Nate Diaz's kryptonite, the leg kicks. Now, we've never seen Conor throw those kind of leg kicks that often. It was huge, okay? So, the leg kick was huge. Conor slowed down Nate with the leg kick immensely. Why didn't Nate throw those 1-2s? Why didn't Nate put on more pressure? His leg was tenderized. His leg was heavily tenderized. It's been tenderized before. We've seen Nate take leg kicks before, get weakened, slow down. Conor has seen it, figured him out, leg kicked him. So the two things Nate Diaz needs to do, if they're going to fight a third time, he needs to find a way to deal with that left hand. And he already has it in his toolbox. I don't know why he didn't use it. And two, deal with those leg kicks once and for all. He cannot get kicked to the leg. He got kicked to the leg for free over and over again. And he's been getting kicked in the leg, for a long time in his career. He failed to protect that leg. He lost power. He lost a lot of power. NTBZ. Hold on a second here. Okay, we're almost running out of time here, but I'm gonna give it another few. We got some time left. NTBCZ. How did you score the fight? What rounds could have gone either way? The closest round, the most controversial round. The tightest round was round number 5, in my opinion. I still give it to Nate. Round number 4, I gave it to Conor. A lot of people say that was tight. I gave it to Conor. I don't know. If you guys think Conor should have lost round number 4, please put in the comments on why. I think he won round number 4. Now, nobody in their right mind is going to give round number 1 to Nate. Nobody in their right mind. Round number 3, nobody in their right mind is going to give it to Conor. Everybody knows rounds 1 and 3 were clear. The foggy ones are 5, 4, and 2. 5, 4, and 2. Now, 2, the man, Nate Diaz, was knocked down twice. A flurry up against the cages ain't going to make up for 2 knockdowns. Just my opinion, okay? So, the most tightest round was round number 5, I think. Nate pulled it out of the fire. He won round number 5, but it was too little too late. Lee's channel, I feel very upset by the decision. I hate when people put their life and soul into a fight and it's taken away by poor judging. It was quite a great fight, an exciting fight, a grueling back and forth war, but the judging ruined it for me. Lee, many people feel that way. And when I watched the fight the first time around, I was watching it as a fan. I was talking during the fight. We were enjoying the fight. It was casual. I wasn't sure about the decision either. I didn't know which way it was going to go. I even got a message from George. Right? He thought Nate had won. But when I rewatched it the second time, there was nobody in the room. I rewatched it after. Me as a judge, looking at who won the rounds. Conor won. I suggest Lee, rewatch the fight. Turn off the commentators. You shouldn't be hearing the commentators. And rewatch the fights. Who won 3 out of the 5 rounds? Conor McGregor. Okay, next question here. Next question is from Money X100. Hey Faraz, do you think leg kicks won the fight for Conor? A lot of people made a big deal about the cardio in the first fight, but I said it was a mental thing. Conor did the same thing. He went for 2 rounds and got tired again, but this time he found spots to rest and reset himself. Also, how do you think Conor would do against Donald Cerrone? I agree with you. It was a mental thing, but also physiological thing to some degree. It's a question of degrees. Okay, it was a bit of both. He stayed calm this time. He didn't panic. He didn't freak out against Donald Cerrone. So I agree with you there. Leg kicks made a huge difference. Beautiful strategy. Loved it. Against Donald Cerrone, I think stylistically, Donald Cerrone is too big, and stylistically, it's not a good fight for Conor. Conor might get a KO. He always has that left hand, okay, that touch of death. If he gets the KO with the left hand, he wins. If he doesn't, Donald Cerrone is just too much pace, too many leg kicks, too much pressure, the teep, the barrage of combinations he has. He's just at that level where he's just too aggressive, and he's bigger than Conor. And he'll take Conor down. He's a very good double leg, as we saw him take down Rick Story, okay? Too much pressure from Donald. If Donald doesn't get knocked out, which I don't think he will, he'll win that fight. That's my opinion. His style is it's too much of a buzzsaw style. He has a lot more forward pressure than Diaz, especially these days. And he's got those great takedowns now. He's developed into a wrestler as well. So Conor protect against a barrage of Muay Thai attacks plus a takedown, plus endless cardio. Cowboy ain't gonna get tired. I think it's too much. Philip Porter, do you think McGregor will have a better chance winning again in the at 155? Yes, he'll have a better chance. Sorry, let me just make this bigger. It was hard to read. Will Conor McGregor have a better chance in the rematch, in the trilogy fight at 155? Absolutely. Nate will have to cut weight. Nate will be a little bit smaller. Nate will be a little bit easier to take down. Nate will be a little bit easier to knock down. Nate will be a little bit easier to stop those takedowns. McGregor's not gonna have to work as hard to stop those takedowns. Absolutely. I think if they fight at 155, it'll be a plus. A lot of things can happen in the trilogy fight, but it'll be a plus in the column for McGregor. He will have less of a weight disadvantage. Sean Choudhury, incredible fight. What an adjustment. Do you think Nate should do the third fight? Absolutely. It's a huge payday. Do the third fight. Win or lose, it's a huge payday, and he's got to go back to the drawing board, and he's got to make the third fight an undeniable win. He's got to do it. McGregor did it after he lost. McGregor didn't blame his coaches, his camp, a sore knee. He went back to the drawing board. He said, "This is what I have to do," and he did it. And he put his heart and soul. Okay, he resolved this problem by working, and thinking his problem away, and working his problem away. Not by complaining about it, not by blaming others, not by whining about it, not by saying the contest wasn't fair. He took his loss like a man. He went back to the drawing board, and he put in the work, time, and energy. And Diaz just has to do the same thing. Just my opinion. Vineeth.v, Conor did well to survive the 5 rounds, particularly ensuring that he wasn't taken down. This was Conor's first 5-round fight. I think you mean the first time he won 5 rounds. He's had 5-round fights before. How big of a learning experience is this for Conor? I think it's a huge learning experience. Colossal. First time he goes in deep waters like that. Now, I remember in my pre-fight analysis breakdown, I said that Conor never faced adversity. I was quoting Joe Rogan because after he lost to Nate Diaz, Joe Rogan was saying, look, we've never seen him face adversity. And I had agreed with Joe Rogan. And then a lot of you pointed out the Chad Mendes fight. And I agree, I was wrong to say that he never faced adversity before. It's not what I meant. What I meant to say was he'd never been bullied by a bigger guy, okay, and faced that. Because the thing is, even when Chad Mendes had Conor on the ground and was doing really well and all that, Conor was still the bigger, stronger, more athletic guy. So it's not so scary because you could always muscle your way out of a problem. And, he knew eventually he's going to get back to his feet. The round's going to end. He had that safety net. This time around, he had no safety net. When he fought Diaz the first time. The guy was bigger, hitting him. He couldn't take Nate down. If he got taken down, it was a problem. There was nowhere he can go to relax. He was getting bullied. He had to just trust his technique to survive and weather the storm and come back. That's what I really meant by that. That he had never been bullied by a bigger, stronger, a guy who can really put a lot of pressure on him and break him. Mendez was putting pressure on him, but Mendez was a smaller opponent in my opinion, much smaller. It wasn't a bullying type game, you know. McGregor was still the bully in that fight, in my opinion. He had the bigger punch. He was hurting Chad. He had a lot of positives on his side, let's just say. Now, you were asking me, he did well to survive 5 rounds. I think he fought well the 5 rounds. I don't think he just survived. I think the round he did survive was round 3. Okay? There's a bug here. Round 3 was the round he survived because things were looking bad at round 3. Things were looking really bad. Nate was really pouring it on. Conor, if he would have panicked, he would have sunk like a stone. He didn't. He stayed calm. His corner calmed him down. His corner told him there's 5 rounds. You've prepared for this. They stayed calm and collected. And he took round number 4. If he didn't take round number 4, he would have lost and it would have been a finish. Round number 4 saved him, in my opinion, because he got his air back. And he won that round. Gave him the confidence for round number 5. Round number 5 was pretty good. It was pretty good. Both guys did a good job round number 5. KZF, why did Conor not throw a spinning sidekick? It's one of his greatest tools. I agree. It's a great kick. I like the spinning sidekick, but it costs a lot of energy. It just wasn't one of those fights. He did throw one, and Nate kind of caught it and started like driving. I remember, was it a sidekick or spinning sidekick? I can't remember. But in the later rounds, he kind of threw one, and Nate kind of tried to grab onto it. Sometimes it's just not there. Sometimes it's just too much energy, too much trouble to throw a kick like that. And I think that's why he didn't throw it. I think it would have just burned his legs out. How much time we have here? Okay, guys, we're closing in. I'm going to do just a few more. Adnan Al-Hajjaji from Morocco. Hello, my friend. Hard luck for Raz regarding your bet against GSP, but I believe you can do it since you are on a vegetarian diet. My question is, what's your take on Conor's takedown defense against the cage, even though he was tired, and Nate not being able to take him down earlier since he was the bigger man? Yes, I did lose a bet. 250 push-ups. I owed GSP 250 push-ups. He picked Conor. I picked Diaz. We both thought it was going to be a war. Again, this fight could have went either way. Crazy fight. I lost the bet. I will be doing my 250 push-ups gladly. And as for your question about the takedown, Nate was trying to lift Conor. I don't think he should have lifted. I think he should have drived and ripped the legs out towards him. Take the legs out away from the ground, not necessarily up. Because when you go up, it's slippery. Conor was pulling him up. He went up. He just helped Conor pull him up off his legs. I think there was a technical issue there. Conor did a good standard defense. Nate didn't know the counter to the defense. I think he was trying to muscle it. And it was slippery. You know, it's sweaty, slippery. And people don't remember, when you wrestle with your shirt off, it's more slippery. A lot of us wrestle and grapple with a shirt on. The shirt makes a huge difference. You might get takedowns you might not get in a fight, an actual fight. Why? Because, you know, when the guy's lifting you up just above his waistline, there's no shirt to help you climb back down to the legs. It's slippery. Once you get to the torso, it's very slippery, and you typically will slide up. RadedZ555. I'm curious as to why Diaz did not shoot for takedowns more often. Sure, he's an elite boxer, but his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is far more advanced than Conor's. How many times have you seen Nate Diaz shoot takedowns? Go back and watch all his fights. Now, he's done upper body takedowns. He's done a few judo takedowns. He did a nice judo trip in round number 5 on Conor. That was a beautiful Sasai foot sweep by Nate Diaz. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful foot sweep. He doesn't shoot the legs. Show me a video of Nate Diaz shooting the legs. I don't remember him shooting the legs. He's tall. He's lanky. He doesn't have that mobility to shoot the legs. You know, he doesn't have that athleticism that it takes to shoot the legs. I think if he did shoot the legs, he would have just got himself stuffed and got tired, and the fight would have played out even more in Conor's favor. Shooting the legs is a bad strategy for Nate. It's not in his game. Now, can he learn it? Absolutely. I'm not saying he can't learn it. I'm just saying it's not in his toolbox. And if he had it in his toolbox, he could have won that fight. Yes, it's a very, very powerful. A guy like Donald Cerrone has it in his toolbox. He could level change and shoot the legs. And that, if you ever fought McGregor, that would be a huge, huge bonus. That would be a huge advantage he would have against Conor. Fad Amji. Diaz should stop the vegan diet. It's killing his power. Also, no new combinations, no leg kicks. He had no chance to finish the fight. He had the chances to finish the fight many times, but he let it go. Congrats to Conor. He deserved it. So you're saying Diaz had a lot of chances to finish the fight, and that his vegan diet is killing him. Now, look, I'm not gonna tell you his vegan diet is killing him. I don't know about that. You know, I don't think there's any studies that say that your vegan diet is killing your power like you claim here. fad. But apart from his diet, I don't know if you'd feel better on a different type of diet or he'd be more powerful. I think it's really his training. I think his diet is not the issue. I think it's his training. He has to develop a little bit more power. Conor had a lot of power, not enough endurance. For why he didn't have enough endurance was it psychological, whatever. It doesn't matter. He took care of it. He ameliorated it. Diaz has a lot of endurance, not a lot of power, and he needs to ameliorate that. Okay, and that's it. That's all it is. He's got to work on his weaknesses. You're saying here he had many chances to finish the fight. When? Round 3 was his best round. And yes, he had a chance to finish the fight in round 3. Maybe a little bit in round 2. The cookie started to crumble. Round 3, I agree with you. He could have finished the fight possibly in round 3. But he did his best. I think he poured it on as best he could. I think he tried to be as accurate as he could. It just wasn't there. Conor stayed calm and the shots just didn't connect that way. They could have, but they didn't this time. Old Sport, do you think the fight was rigged? All right, guys, we are out of time. I will see you. All right. Let me answer this question. I'd love to end the episode before I clicked on this question. And I think I will make this the last. No, actually, I can't end on this note. I will answer this question and move on to another question and tidy up. This episode is getting too long. Was the fight rigged? No way. It was 100% real. But I get what you're saying. If Diaz takes the trilogy fight, he'll make another multi-million-dollar check. Maybe deep down inside in his heart of hearts, he wants to lose that fight. Why? Because there's a multi-million-dollar check waiting for him. He ain't going to get the same payday if he's fighting another guy at 155. He fights a top 10 guy at 155. He's not making a fraction of what he made fighting Conor McGregor. I agree with you that in his heart of hearts, deep down inside, maybe he wants to get dropped. Maybe he wants to take a knee. Maybe he wants to lose that fight. I don't know. I'm not inside that man's head. But I don't think the fight was rigged. I think at the heat of the battle, you're putting it all on the line. You're fighting for survival. Money is the furthest thing away from your mind at that time. Survival, winning, going home. That feeling of winning a fight it's worth more than anything for most people. For most people, not for everyone. And I think Diaz was true and authentic in when he fought. He put everything on the line. He was bloodied. He pushed to the end. You look at round 5, he was trying to win that fight. He was not coasting. They both fought to the end. They both fought to the death. They both fought to the maximum. The fight was 100% authentic. But a lot of you are telling me, and I've got this. You're not the first guy to send me this message. It was rigged. He wanted to lose. I don't think so, but maybe in his heart of hearts. Who knows? I'm not in the man's head. But I think in the heat of the battle, his image, his name, the feeling of beating Conor McGregor would have been more than any paycheck, but I understand your point nonetheless. Okay, guys, I think this will be the last one. We are out of time. This one is from Chris Turner. For us, do you think McGregor's fight style, which seems to be more like a blitz attack, C rounds 1 and 2, is a weak point in his game as it drains his energy too much in the early rounds versus Diaz's slow consistency pressure forward seems to leave him with more energy in the later rounds? I don't think Conor would have done better fighting like Nate. So yes, he blitz attacks. Yes, rounds 1 and 2 were perfect. I wouldn't have told him. Would you have told Conor not to do what he did in round number 1 and 2? Especially round number 1. He picked apart. He picked Nate apart. And he wasn't overloading. He wasn't spending more energy. And he still seemed to gas. Why? I think there's a training issue for sure. I think there's a psychological issue. I think it's just time. He needs to mature as a 5-round fighter. That's the majorest point. Okay. But again, I think he's been correcting. He only had 5 months to correct his issue. I think in the next 5 months, he'll have corrected his issue even more. So I think they're on the right path. I think they are correcting it. They just, Conor is a new 5-round fighter. He's a new fighter. He made mistakes. He's correcting them. And I think we're going to see better 5-round performances. Just give, time. Just a little bit more time. And they will learn to prepare more precisely for 5 rounds. This is normal. You have to adapt to go from 3 rounds to 5 rounds. There's an adaptation period. There's a learning curve. Everybody who goes from 3 rounds to 5 rounds have to go through that. So it's just part of the game. I don't think he should change his style. It's what he's built for. It's what works for him. And Diaz's style is more for 5 rounds. I don't think Diaz will do as well in 3-rounders because he's a slow starter. He needs to fix that issue. He has to address it. Imagine that fight was 3 rounds. He would have lost 2 rounds to none, and he wouldn't have had his great 5th-round run. It would have been more of a... I think the more rounds there are, the better it is for Diaz's style. He's more of an endurance guy. I agree with you. But That's just part of his game. It's part of his genetic makeup. It's part of his personality. There's a lot to it. It's hard to change fighter styles. I've tried to. Some people are just comfortable with the style. And I believe you have to make adjustments to their style, but let people fight the way they're comfortable fighting. Not everybody's going to be explosive and fast. Some people are going to be more methodical. Some people are going to be more strong. They're going to be stronger finishers. They're going to want to finish strong in the later round. It's psychological too. It's really psychological. A lot of fighting has to do with your personality as well. I've noticed that, at least in my years of training. I think there's a lot of personality involved. You can have one trainer train two people and their personalities are different. They have a different fighting style. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your likes and shares. As always, I really enjoy doing these with you guys. Thank you very much for always participating and sharing. Thank you, Reebok. Thank you, Quest Nutrition. Thank you, TimTam.tech. Check out the links in the description if you guys want to know more about those companies and the details. Thank you very much, and I'll see you all in the next episode.